What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all doing fantastic as always. We're out here at the Guppy Farm, and it's Tuesday. Thinking about doing kind of a weekly summary of what goes on here every week, and trying to film what I do and every day and kind of break it up and do a weekly kind of catch up on what goes on here. In the day here, in the middle of the day, it's kind of too hot to get most work done out here. It's like 115, 113, which is just too hot to stand out here and work for a bunch of hours. So work gets done really early and work gets done in the evening. So in the evening, I've been basically filming and culling. So it's about 10 a.m. right now. It's not too hot yet. So we're gonna go ahead and get a little more culling done. That's what's about to happen with this pond behind me. I need to go through pretty much everything and just make sure it's up to date. I haven't done a bunch of culling recently, so I need to make sure that gets done. The reason I'm doing that is to keep the strains pure. I don't want to, for instance, have reds and the blues and then come out with a weird hybrid. So I want to go ahead and snag any fish that are not where they should be as soon as I can. So this is the red Mosaic dragon pond. It is 100 gallons full of fish, and we're gonna start pulling fish out, see what we got, and any ones that have the wrong color we are gonna put in the mud tank behind me. Show you what we're looking for here. So we don't want blue. Yellow in females is okay, and a little bit of yellow in the males is alright. A lot of times that'll turn into red. But what we're avoiding here is any blue, especially in males. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Just pulling out fish. these are actually the red Mosaic dragons that we ended up pulling out for culling. Mostly females here, and they had too much blue in the tail. So they will be going with our mutts. You can see there's a little fry in there. He'll be going back in the pond. And that tank is now cleaned up. We got all the culling done on the red Mosaic and the blue Mosaic dragon ponds here I'm standing next to. That is these. It is still pretty hot this morning. It's definitely going to be hot today. It's about 80 degrees out, so it's going to be a thing probably for the rest of August. Basically what's on the agenda for this morning, and well, really this morning, we don't do anything during the day, it's too hot. What's on the agenda for this morning is changing the evaporation, or replacing it, I guess is the better word. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Alright, so as we move down, we'll be able to easily see the amount of evaporation that has occurred in the last 2 days. So this is strictly 2 days worth of evaporation. And that is about 3 inches. So a couple gallons. But we need to top all that off, as you know, it does make a difference pretty quickly. And you can see here, it does push all of our plants down with it as well. So this is kind of a routine thing we need to do every few days. You can see how much harder it is just to see in these tanks, even during the daytime when there's not as, or morning I should say, in the morning when there's not glare, but there's no good key lighting, which is what we're missing from the aquarium lights. But by now, this video with the red Mosaic dragons, and down there of the purple Dumbo ear red tails will have come out. So you'll have a comparison if you've seen those videos. If not, go check them out if you want to see these fish in detail. So yeah, basically we're going to be working on the evaporation this morning, and I don't know how you guys refill your water, but we have eliminated the manual labor from it. Essentially what we do is we have our water line, right, where's my finger? Whoop. Water line is right there. We have taps running to our ponds right there. And then hold on, let me get this camera stable. So this is how we fill the ponds. Just turn that on. And essentially how we fill the tanks is you grab a piece of water line, put one end into the tap, put the other end into the tank, and clamp it onto the side of the tank, kind of like so. A little bit better clamp than that so it actually stays. There we go. And then turn it back on. So obviously you don't need to do that for the pond, but you run this line across to a tank. Like so. And then all you have to do is monitor the tank so it doesn't overflow, which will happen very quickly. Oh man, we are tilted here. Can you guys see? Okay. The ground is not even. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn it back on. And now we're filling. You can see that. So that is how we fill them. We have to do that through all the tanks, but we do it 2 at a time mostly. So it takes a little while. It still takes about an hour, 2 hours. And while I'm doing that, I generally will go through and kind of just pull algae out. Oops, didn't mean to hit the camera. Sorry about that, guys. I'll go through and just pull algae out or whatever else needs to be done that I can do at the same time. What's going on, guys? Good morning. Thursday here. We've done a little bit of work. It's about 7 a.m. We've done about an hour of work since about 6. So what have we done? Well, we've been working on filling some of the tanks behind me, some of the aquariums up. And still have them filling, so I'll be looking behind me occasionally to check on that. And we fed a couple of aquariums, or the ponds actually. I paused to come get the camera and do a little recording because we get a lot of questions on, you know, feeding and how we keep the fry and if we feed them anything special and things like that. so I decided to include that in today's recording. I also realized I should probably go over all of our equipment and our setup here for this new series, as we probably will have some new viewers that are not familiar. So we're going to be looking at that. Other than that, on the agenda for today, besides normal refilling, evaporation, and feeding and things like that, is I need to clean all the sponge filters in the aquariums today. So I did all the ponds, all of them yesterday, and now we're going to head to the aquariums. So that's what's going on. We're going to go ahead and keep feeding and show you guys some of the fry being fed and the adult fish, and then go over the equipment. Okay, so I guess let's start at the beginning here. On the left we have all of our aquariums. So they range from 10 gallons to 29 gallons. These larger ones here are the 29s. The standard are the 20-gallon longs. On the right hand side we have all of our ponds, ranging from, I think our smallest is a 20-gallon and the largest being these 100-gallon Rubbermaids. Now, in addition to that, we also have a slop sink where we do clean all our aquarium junk at, things like that. Very useful. Now, as far as how everything is hooked up, let's walk down to the first thing we would need in an aquarium setup, which is pretty much air. I mean, you don't have to run air. We show that in our no-tech setups, but most people do, and we do outside. So here is our air pump. This powers everything by itself, which means it's a crazy air pump. I highly recommend this company. These air pumps don't come exactly cheap by any means, but I haven't had any issues with it in about 2 years of it running 24/7. You can see it's hooked up right there, and that runs all the way down. So that's our air. That is hooked up and tapped into via valves, which we can control individually. And then we'll also occasionally attach these splitters, air splitters, split valves. So if you're wondering, that's how we aerate everything. And then of course we occasionally run a line over to the tanks. They are hooked up via more air splitters. Cats are not necessary, they're optional. So here is our RODI filter from new Aqua. This thing gets a lot of use for various reasons. That has its own video, and it will get its own video again. It's not essential equipment, depending on what you're doing. For us, it's not essential. For some people, it is definitely essential. If you're running salt water or soft water for cardina or whatever else requires soft water, then you will definitely need that. Somebody's trying to get my attention while I'm making a video. So yeah, that's our RODI filter, and that leads us to how we get our water. So here's our inline water line. This comes directly from the main water source for the house, and then that runs into, again, directly under the air, the same exact way. So we also have taps we drilled in and installed into each tub. And these are how we get our water. Are you looking for a second while I advance? So that is how we get our water, right there. Far superior over to the bucket and the manual labor method of bucket and fill, which everybody starts with, and it becomes a pain when you have
all of this. All of these racks are homemade with cinder blocks and 4x4s. And then, of course, we have mounted electrical strips for power. Now, some of our tanks and very few of our ponds do get CO2. These are, I think it's 20-pound CO2 tanks. Now, that's how much the CO2 weighs, not the tank. The tank weighs a lot more than 20 pounds. You can pick up the tank. Oh man, they've increased over the years, but you can buy the tank, new or used, it doesn't really matter, for probably anywhere from, like, it depends, it really does range, but anywhere from $150 to $250 for a tank. And then it's probably about 20 bucks to refill it. I refill mine maybe once every 6 months. They last for a long time, and that's running 6 tanks. So, once you have the tank, that's step 1 to CO2. Step 2 is a regulator, which is this piece right here. And that basically tells you how much pressure you have left in your tank and regulates the amount of pressure going out. So, lets you know how much is in the tank and can let you control how much is going out. So, these little guys right here, I guess, are kind of optional. I don't think they're optional, but they are technically. Are basically little devices to let you see your CO2 rate. So you can see here, we can see the bubble rate, which is how you calculate how much CO2 is going into your tank. The regulator is probably about 50 bucks. These are like $7 each. And then we have this piece right here, which fits onto the regulator, and it's a CO2 splitter. So it splits, you know, one connection into 6. That's probably like another 30 bucks. And then you need all your airline. And we're not done yet. You also need your diffusers, which actually lets the CO2 go into your tank. Here, let's find one we can actually see. I have one outside. Here, let me grab one that's not in a tank. So you can see that is this piece. Now, depending on these, you can also use an air stone. I do use just a simple air stone, and it seems to work just the same. These are nice because they also, as you can see the one in there, kind of, let me switch the focus. You can see it also has a bubble counter. So you could do a direct connection to the CO2 splitter and have your bubble counter right here. So it's kind of overkill to do it in both places. Don't really need to do that. I guess what it does allow you to see is if you have any leaks in your line. But that is all the parts to a CO2 system. And as far as those tanks go, we have 4 complete setups. So that would be the first one down there. This is the second, third, and fourth is right down there. Now, I mentioned our water. That is where our clean water comes in. All of our outflow, our dirty water, goes through this pipe right here. It's at the very bottom. And all of our tanks have outflows. So anything over this line will get sucked down the tube, and that tube can also be moved to adjust the water line. So basically allows us to do 50% water changes by just moving a PVC pipe. All of our dirty water runs down that line all the way to our water storage. So these are just buckets of water that we use for gardening. Waste not, want not. We reuse all of our water. It is all of our wastewater. It is some of the best natural fertilizer that you will ever use. It's full of everything plants need to grow. And if you go look at a hydroponic store, you will find fish poop for sale, and you will not believe how much it costs. A bottle that is probably the size of this bottle will probably run you $60 to $80 for concentrated fish poop. So don't throw your wastewater away, reuse it. But that is the equipment and the setup, guys.